wooden ornaments from Christmas, the ones that were the nativity and stuff. We sold about 350 of them during Christmas last year. I promoted them to churches, asked them to buy them in quantity. I had several churches that came in. I had one church that bought 150 of them. Now, it was really nice because it was 150 that are all exactly the same thing. But I set it up to where you could have 5 of them in there at a time. You run the job, you load it, you press the green button, you load it, you press the green button. So it was a lot faster. You could load 5 in there, press a button, walk away and do something else for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, and then come back. So we ran the quantities when it was slower, and this was in November. I didn't wait and do this in December. One at a time. Essentially, by the time it gets finished burning, you have to put another one in it. So you're having somebody dedicated to only doing that. I set it up so the machine was sitting there ready. You could put 5 in, you could press the button, and you could go do something else, and then come back to the machine next time you had a break and load 5 more in it. And all 3 or 4 or 5 people that were working those days, I told them all the same thing. So I had 5 eyes watching the machine, so when it stopped running, somebody else could reload it and push the button. So we were continuous process, but I wasn't dedicating an operator to sit there and produce the quantities. And again, this was not on a critical day. This was in advance of those days, but this is a way that you can get more pieces run in a shorter period of time. It takes, to run 5 of them, actual machine time takes only about, not quite 2.5 times what it takes to run 1. And it's because of the way the machine sets up and everything. But so that's the way I did those. Did the same thing, and I've noticed Dunn, not near as high-tech as mine. Theirs is out of cardboard. But this is to run dog tags. Same thing. Dog tags was something that just really snuck up on me. I wasn't ready. I ordered them in, got my first display. I sold out in 3 days. I mean, I put them out on the shelf, and I had one church come in and buy 40 of them the second day we had them out. So my brain started working. I got to figure out some way to run them again to where you don't have to have an operator sit there and press the button every 35 seconds or whatever that it runs a dog tag. These jigs are, that's a $2 piece of wood. You set up your layout, you go to layer 2 and you burn it into the wood, and you go back to layer 1 and you're working. So, I mean, these are things that are easy to do, but it really amplifies the amount of time or the amount of product that you can get through the machine. The previous seminar we were talking about events. I took the machine to an event. Ended up our primary product we ran that day was dog tags. So this worked out very well because I could essentially have 10 different ones set up with symbols or different fonts or whatever. And when somebody wanted that font and that symbol, they either had it already set up or I could quickly move it to one. You highlight the one. I was still only running 1 tag at a time, but it gave me the ability to have 10 options sitting there in front of me, so I didn't have to reinvent it one at a time. It was just a cut and paste or a copy and paste back and forth between it. So anything you can do, I was taking this picture late at night, that's a little out of focus, but anything you can do to speed up the process of getting the product on the machine. This is probably the most important thing that I did in trying to schedule stuff, is have a written work order for every job. During the critical days, this gets really important. With one machine, you have somebody that comes in and wants a plaque that's going to take 45 minutes. You don't want to stop your whole production to run that plaque in the middle of the day. You want to run it in the evening and they pick it up the next day. We found out quickly that writing on notepads or post-it notes or whatever, we had no control over what was being done and what hadn't been done. So again, going back to my manufacturing background, I came up with my own work order. Essentially, this is it's out of proportion. That's really an 8 by 8.5 by 11, just regular size sheet of paper. This is a 2-part NCR. We're able to record every piece of information that we want on it, contact information. Over on the left where it says laser, crystal, I've got 3 other things in my store that we do personalization with. So I built one work order that could handle all 3 of them. But you can keep track of everything, and the biggest part of it when you get really busy and you're starting to schedule, sorry about that. I don't know if this has it there. That one doesn't have a laser. But down here at the bottom, it's really important that you can track where you're at in the process. I'm talking about on busy days, we ran 100 jobs or 120 jobs in a 10-hour day. So if you're writing all of this on Post-it notes and trying to keep up with which piece goes with, which layout and which font and all that stuff, it just got overwhelming. So we use this. Down on the right-hand corner, I know it's kind of hard to see, but we save every custom file to where we can find it again. If we do a custom, now a pin or a keychain, we don't. But if we do a custom 3x3 magnet with a certain background and a certain saying for this customer, we assign it a name and we save it on the computer to where we can go back to it. And I can't tell you how many times we've had a customer come in the next day and want the exact same thing. The first time they did that, they ended up having to email me a picture of what I'd done the day before because I wasn't saving their files. So, I keep punching the wrong buttons. It became really obvious to me that you're going to get a lot of repeat business from customers when they set up something specific. And if you save it to where all you have to do is go back to it, your time goes from 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 minutes setup to whatever it takes to run it. And we've had multiple instances of customers coming back and wanting the exact same thing that we ran for them the day before or the week before. So this works out real well. The way we do it, the two copies stay connected, the white and the yellow behind it. After the job has gone through all of the processes down there on the bottom to where the customer's picked up, the white gets thrown away because the job's over. The yellow one, I file them alphabetically by the customer's name. So when Jeff Williams comes in a month, I can pull their sheet. I know exactly what they want, how it was set up. I can go straight to the file that it was lasered with, and I can reproduce it again. Like I say, that's happened to us over and over and over. That's why we went to this. If anybody has any questions as we go, just let me know. I'm talking kind of fast. Okay? Yes?
Do you back up those custom files, like with a copy off-site? You should have a computer problem.
I back them up to, I've gone to backing everything up on the little memory sticks. I buy 16 gig memory sticks out at Sam's. That's what I back up my point of sale to now. I just bought a new server. So yes, they're backed up. Just in normal, your normal computer processes. Yes, ma'am.
Do you use that form on every cell or just?
No, if somebody walks in and they want a pin, we don't fill this out. We only fill this out for something that is something that we may want to reproduce again. It's a training issue with your staff. I had, when I first implemented this, they were wanting to fill one out on every pin, which is a waste. You don't need that. We use this primarily for stuff when the customer's going to have to pick it up later. We do use it also in this queuing process that we were talking about during events. It gets very difficult to keep track with who's next in line when you have 18 or 20 people all milling around waiting on something to be run. And we had those situations. So you can use that form. We have a little divider thing that we set them in there in order of how we fill them out, so the machine operator knows the next one that, who's up next to be run. But no, we don't fill them out for the small key change or whatever, normally. The next place that you can have problems is equipment problems, and in almost a year of running a machine, I've had hardly any problems. Very, very, very minimal problems. But to make sure that you don't have problems on those critical days, make sure you're doing your daily or weekly maintenance. Make sure you have a supply of the filters and cleaners and lubricants, everything that you need. Make sure you have it. It'd be terrible to have your main filter on your exhaust system clogged the day before Christmas or something and you forgot to order them. So it's just like everything else in your store. You need to make sure you maintain the supplies. The issues of the buttons, make sure that your operators have a general idea of what every button does on there, because you will get the problem, somebody mentioned it earlier, of a kid walking up and hitting a button, or an adult leaning on it. My wife's the worst about that. She'll walk up and put her elbow on it. You need to know when they touch a button what the machine is going to do. So make sure your operators know the function so you don't create a problem that really doesn't exist.